We've all seen those Scotch bottles that get hyped to death, but are they actually worth your money?
Today, we're breaking down the 25 best-selling single malts in the US to help you separate the gems from the shelf fillers. In this tier list, we're only covering single malts. So before anyone gets upset at us for not including Monkey Shoulder or Johnny Walker, we'll do a separate tier list for those blended malts.
At its core, a single malt is a whiskey made from 100% malted barley, produced at one single distillery and distilled in pot stills. It's all about showcasing the character of one place and one process, even though the single malt can be a blend from different barrels or batches.
There is only one key difference between a single malt like the Macallan and a blended malt like Johnny Walker. Both come from a blend of different barrels, but blended malts come from more than one distillery. And because both are Scotch whiskies, they also have to be made in Scotland, aged for at least 3 years in oak barrels, and bottled at a minimum of 40% ABV.
And what makes single malt Scotch so fascinating is the diversity of flavors across all the regions. Here's how we're breaking things down. Each of us gave every bottle a score from 0 to 100 based on taste, value, and overall experience.
We averaged our scores, and based on that number, we'll assign a tier right here in this video. Some picks will be no-brainers, and others, well, we're fully expecting a battle. In fact, we encourage it. If you've watched any of our previous tier list videos, you'll know that we love interacting with each and every one of you.
Seriously, we respond to all comments. All right, let's get into the rankings, okay? Let's start at number 25 and work our way back to number 1. And first up, we've got Ardmore Traditional Cask. So right away, this one's throwing a curveball. It's peated, but not in your face like Isla. I like the concept of Ardmore, but it feels a little bit underdeveloped to me. It's decent for someone looking to get into peated whiskey, but it never quite reached the level of truly exceptional whiskey for me. So I'm gonna give it a 77.
I like Ardmore for the price, and I think it's hard to find a single malt that's like right under $40, and Ardmore fits the bill. I also enjoy the peated notes on this one, but I agree that it's pretty underdeveloped. So I am gonna give it an 80. With your 77 and my 80, this one's ranked at a high C with 79, Ardmore Traditional Cask. Our second bottle on the list is Deanston 12 Year. I'm truly surprised that this one's on the list, because you don't hear about it a lot.
Yeah, you see it quite a bit in the stores, but you don't really hear people talking about it too often.
Right? But I think that Deanston 12 Year is surprisingly good. It's light and approachable, and it gives you that herbaceousness that you want in a Scotch. It's gone up in price considerably over the last few years, and for $60, I think you could get a better Scotch, but I'm gonna give this one an 85.
Wow, I'm gonna give you 100 for using the word herbaceousness. The apple and the apple pie notes in this one really strike a good chord for me. I'm gonna give this one an 86. So with our two scores, it averages out to an 86, B tier for Deanston 12. Up next on our list, we've got Tomatin 12 Year. Now for a 12-year single malt under $40, it delivers exactly as you expect it would. Not a super long finish and not super memorable in my opinion. So I'm gonna middle of the road it at 77.
Whether you call it Tomatin or tomatoes or tomatoes, this one is as mid as it gets for a single malt Scotch, especially with a 12-year age statement. It's very light, fruity with apple notes and a tiny bit of spice, but it's not sophisticated at all. I am gonna give this one a 72. With your 77 and my 72, it averages out to 75, C tier for Tomatin, 12 year.
You just made it Spanish.
The 22nd best-selling single malt Scotch in the US is Speyburn 10 Year. And this is our first Speyside on the list. Speyburn 10 is another light and approachable Scotch that provides flavors of citrus and toffee. It sells for about $25 in my neck of the woods, making it one of the most affordable Scotches in this entire list. The flavors are good, especially for the price, but not very exciting. However, I will give this one an 88.
Whoa.
Yes, people are gonna lose their minds. I can't wait.
After all that stuff you just said, you're like, you know what? High B.
Well, the thing is that when you're selling a product for $24, $25, you can't expect the greatest thing in the world. But this is very good for the price.
So for me, the Speyburn 10 is fine for what it is. It's a 10-year single malt under $25. It's a good introductory whiskey if you're still trying to figure out what you like, but the finish doesn't last long enough to really enjoy it. So I'm gonna put it in the high C tier only because it's super affordable. Otherwise, it'd be lower.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's fair. I think I was a little too generous. To all those people in the comment section below that are gonna get very upset at my ranking, just know that I'm probably changing my mind as we speak.
It's a fluid situation. So I'm gonna give it a 78. And with your 88, that averages out to an 83 in the B tier.
Sorry, guys.
Number 21, one of my favorite scotches to say. Bruichladdich. We're talking about the classic laddie. This one's easily one of my favorite bottles on this whole list, and it's one of the few non-peated options from Islay. At 100 proof, it's got a little bit more punch than your standard 80 proof whiskey, and the combination of subtle fruit and baking spices is spectacular in this one. High A tier, easy, 94.
I really like this one. And you're right, it's one of the few non-peated Islay scotches out there. But to be fair, I like peat. And an Islay Scotch without peat is like eating a pumpkin pie that doesn't have pumpkin. You need the pumpkin. So for me, it's really tasty, but it's a little lighter than I like it to be. So I'm gonna give this one a 91. Still very respectable, but lower A tier. So with your 94 and my 91, the Bruichladdich Classic Laddie averaged it out to 93 A tier. The 20th best-selling single malt in the US is Glengoyne 12 year. This one has a decently long finish, it's complex and velvety. For a 12-year single malt, it's decently priced, and its taste of zesty baking spices makes this one that pairs incredibly well with dark chocolate. This is a good one, and I'm gonna give it a 91.
You know, my only complaint about this bottle is that at Total Wine, it's a Spirits Direct product, so they always try to push this bottle at their stores. That being said, it is better than many of the Spirits Direct products at Total Wine. I think its best feature is its longer finish, giving off that really good dark chocolate coffee notes. This one's gonna be a high B tier for me, 87. So between your 91, my 87 averages it out to 89, B tier for Glengoyne 12. At number 19, we've got Benriach 10 year.
I love doing Scotch lists because we get to pronounce words like Vikings that we've never pronounced before in our entire lives.
All right, so if this one was the Benriach Smoky 12, I'd be giving this an A rating. The 10 year is very good, and the 3 cask combination of bourbon, sherry, and new oak give it some really nice balanced flavors of red fruit and oak. 88 for me, B tier.
Look at that, Mr. Ryan. It only took a few tries, but we're finally here. In sync, baby. I like Benriach 10 a lot, but I agree that the Smoky 12 and even the Smoky 10 are better. And I also agree with your score of 88 because I am also gonna give it an 88. It's very well balanced, slightly peaty and fruity, and it's a very good everyday sipper. So for the Benriach 10, our average score of 88 plants it firmly on the B tier. Number 18 on the list is Cragganmore 12 year. This is another 80 proof that is approachable, light, and floral, which is the nature of many Scotch whiskies. So for me, it doesn't blow me away, but it certainly is enjoyable. So I'm gonna give Cragganmore 12 an 85.
This is another bottle that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. It's a decent Speyside single malt, so you get those fruit and even floral notes, but there's not a ton of depth to it. I'm gonna knock it down slightly for the price tag, which is up to $70 these days. So I think you'd be better off with other 12-year single malts on this list. 83, B tier for me. So between your 85 and my 83, we're giving Cragganmore 12 and 84, B tier. All right, next on our list, we've got Glenmoray Classic. Look, this one's a hair over $30. It's easy to drink, especially if you like vanilla notes, but again, the finish falls short for me. For the same price, you can get the Glenmoray Classic Sherry Cask finish. That's the one I'd recommend getting. But for this bottle, 79.
It's low budget Scotch, it's not very memorable, it doesn't have a very long finish, and it's very light. I'm gonna give this one a 75. This is as low budget Scotch as it gets, and it pretty much tastes as such. Between our 2 scores, Glenmoray Classic gets a 77, C tier. And you know what? For Speyburn 10, I'm also gonna drop that down to C tier. I made a crazy mistake. So I'm gonna put a little asterisk on that little sucker, and that one's gonna go back down.
So you're moving it from B to C now?
I'm moving it B to C. That one belongs in C tier, Glenmoray belongs in C tier, everybody belongs in C tier.
Wow, this is a barrel hunter's first, folks.
Glenmoray, Speyburn, don't blame me, blame the comments section. They are ruthless and they have talked me out of using common sense. Number 16th best-selling single malt Scotch in the US is Glendronach 12 year. The term sherry bomb applies nicely here, with the Glendronach being aged in PX and Oloroso sherry casks. I like me some sherry, and given that it's aged for 12 years, you really get the flavors from the casks. I love it, and I'm gonna give it a 93.
You know, I'm so glad you mentioned Sherry Bomb, because I was gonna say, this is the first one on the list that truly fits that description. I really enjoy this bottle, and even though it is around $60, this is a bottle I'd spend it on. Solid A tier for me, and guess what?
What?
93 for me too.
Oh, we did it again! Boom!
So it's easy to average those suckers out. 93 for both of us. A tier for Glendronach 12. So up next, number 15 on this list, we've got Glenfiddich 12. And this is actually the first lowland Scotch that we've talked about today.
Right.
So lowlands tend to be more floral and grassy, which usually means they're a bit lighter. But this one knocks it out of the park for me. It's citrusy up front, but finishes with baking spices and pepper. It's a really good pour. Low A tier for me, 91.
Yeah, if you like something that's a little lighter and less full-bodied, this is for you. I get green apple and grass from this bottle, and the flavors go really nicely together. It's a pleasant drink, and for that, I'm gonna give this one a solid high B tier, 89. So with your 91 and my 89, this one averages it out to a 90, sitting right at the start of A tier, Glenfiddich 12. Number 14 on our list is Glenfarclas 12 year. I might get some hate here because I just praised another sherry 12-year Scotch, but I don't really enjoy Glenfarclas as much as I do Glendronach. Look, it's good, but it's thinner and not as complex in my opinion. I've drank it at restaurants a couple of times and never really felt compelled to get myself a bottle. So I'm gonna give this one an 83.
You know, for all that you just said, I thought you were gonna give it a lower score.
Ah, I'm full of surprises.
You are.
I might just change my mind again, we'll see.
You never know with this guy. For me, the disappointing thing is that the smell and taste don't line up for this one. The nose is very promising, especially given the sherry finish. But even at 43% ABV, the taste and finish were more muted than I was hoping for. So, 81 for me. So with your 83, my 81 puts it at an 82 B tier for Glenfarclas 12. Up next on our list is the old Dalmore 12. Now we actually featured the Dalmore 12 on our 7 most disappointing Scotches video. And one of the main reasons was because of Dalmore's heavy reliance on caramel food coloring to give it the deeper, darker color that you see. Now plenty of distilleries use the E150 coloring, but Dalmore relies on it a little too much in my opinion. It looks nice on the shelf for sure, it's a beautiful bottle, but I'm not a huge fan of the 12 year. I'm gonna give it a 77.
I'm not a fan of Dalmore 12. I think that it's way too light. It's simple, completely unremarkable. A lot of people swear by it, but I'm not one of them. So I'm gonna give the sexy piece of mediocrity a 70. With your 77 and my 70, the Dalmore 12 averages out to 74, C tier. Number 12 is Highland Park 12 year. I've only had the 43% ABV bottle, so I'm gonna rate it based on that one. It's a good daily drinker for many. It has a decent peaty flavor on the finish, and it's pretty bold. It gives you a nice little kick. And for that little kick, I think this one is a solid 90.
Yeah, Highland Park 12, in my opinion, is a great introduction to peat because it's not too overpowering. But the smokiness is still present. This is a great bottle. And at under $50, it's definitely worth getting. Low A tier for me, 91. So between your 90 and my 91, this is gonna sit at 91 because we don't do fractions here. A tier for the Highland Park 12. Up next, at number 11, we've got Cull Isla 12. Now earlier, we rated Bruichladdich from Islay, but now we're on to our first peated single malt from Islay. We both love peated whiskeys.
Yes, we do.
But they're not for everybody. So as a reminder, this is our palate. That being said, this is an underrated Islay Scotch, and it balances the peat and sweet very well. 88, high B tier for me.
Yes, give me that sweet, sweet peat. I really like Cull Isla. I think that it really does balance the sweet and the peat very, very nicely. I think you said it beautifully.
Thank you.
That sherry cask influence, I probably like it a little bit more than you do, Ryan. So I'm gonna give this delicious dram a 91, A tier for me. With your 88 and my 91, I have rescued Cull Isla from the depths of B tier. Now it ranks solidly at an A tier 90 for Cull Isla 12. We are in the top 10 best-selling single malt scotches in the United States. And number 10 is Lagavulin 16 year. This is the highest age statement on the list so far. And Lagavulin 16 is peaty, full-bodied with some hints of dark chocolate on the finish. I love me some Lagavulin, and I can see why Nick Offerman is a huge fan. I am gonna give this one my first S tier, 96.
I'm gonna give it the same score.
Oof! Hell yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Even though this is one of the pricier bottles on this list at around $88, it's worth every penny.
It is.
It is a very complex whiskey. It's rich, it's smoky, it's briny, it's almost perfect. And you know, if it's good enough for Ron Swanson, it is good enough for me. S tier, baby, 96. The fact that we both gave it a 96, it's gonna sit there In the S tier, 96, Lagavulin 16. Eddie's getting excited about this one.
I can't wait.
Get excited. You know why? Because number 9 is Oban 14 year. Oban 14 is another fantastic bottle. Given its geography, Oban is in an interesting position as it's technically a Highland Scotch, but it's right on the coast. And that marriage of malty sweetness from the Highlands and coastal salinity makes it truly unique. Easy S tier bottle for me, 95.
So here's a little did you know about me. Oban 14 is my absolute favorite Scotch of all time. It's complex with flavors of citrus and smoke, like a charred orange that has been gently dipped in dark chocolate. Plus, being that it's a Highland Scotch, it's surprisingly peaty. Oban is incredibly well balanced, and I am giving this beautiful piece of art a 99.
Holy smokes.
It's as close to perfect as it gets for me when it comes to Scotch.
Wow.
Wow.
So with your 95 and my glorious 99, Oban 14 sits where it belongs in the S tier with a 97 average.
I think this is the highest score you've given any bottle on any of our S tiers so far.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I'll drink to that.
Number 8 on our list is Laphroaig 10 year. As far as Isla Scotches go, Laphroaig 10 isn't my favorite. It's a little too medicinal for my taste. However, this bottle will get a couple of bonus points for pairing so nicely with smoked salmon and cold sushi. If you haven't paired the two, do it.
Do it. Do it.
All right.
This controversial bottle gets an 89 for me. Solid, high B tier.
I can't wait to hear what everyone in the comments says about this one because you either love it or hate it. There's no in between with this bottle. And with tasting notes like iodine and seaweed, I can see why one would steer clear of this bottle. But somehow, Laphroaig makes it work. Not quite S tier for me, but it's a great bottle, 91 A tier. So now it's my turn to bring a bottle up from the depths.
It's about time you rescue someone. I keep rescuing all these bottles left and right on all these tier lists.
So with your 89 and my 91, that puts Laphroaig 10 at a 90 in the low A tier. Number 7 on our list is Aberlour 12 Double Cask. If you're all about the sherry finish, Aberlour 12 is a must-have. It's aged in ex-bourbon and sherry casks. And if you're looking for a velvety, long finish, this is your bottle. I love this one. I'm gonna give it a high A tier at 94.
I love this one too. And you mentioned the sherry, but it's also full-bodied, it's spicy and velvety with some hints of dark bittersweet chocolate on the finish. This was the first Scotch whiskey that I ever purchased, and I haven't turned back since. Thank you, Aberlour. I am also gonna give this one a 94.
Can I be Justin Timberlake this time?
No. So with your 94 and my 94, obviously this averages out to 94, high A tier for Aberlour 12. Number 6 best-selling single malt Scotch in the US is Singleton of Glendulin 12 year. I am so surprised that a Singleton Scotch is this high up on the list, but I guess price makes it easier to access. It's okay. Nothing exciting for me. I like the majority of the bottles on this list, a whole lot more than the Singleton of Glendulin 12 year, so I'm gonna give this one a 70.
So the backstory on this one is interesting. Singleton is actually made up of 3 distilleries. Here in the US and Canada, we got Singleton of Glendulin, whereas Europe got Singleton of Dufftown, and Asia got Singleton of Glenord. So our ratings might differ based on your location. For being under $40, it's a fine bottle for the price, but there's nothing overly exciting about it. If you're just getting into whiskey, you may want to try it, but if you're just curious about it, you can probably skip it, to be honest. 79, C tier for me. So between your 70 and my 79, it's gonna sit right in the middle of C tier at 75 for Singleton of Glendulin.
There you go, Glendulin.
Or Glendulin. What is it?
Glendulin.
Somebody tell us.
We just said we were gonna rank them. We didn't say we were gonna pronounce them correctly.
Yeah, you can put our pronunciations in a tier list if you want. We have made it to the top 5 selling single malt scotches in the US. I wanna hear from you first. What do you think the top 5 are? Put them in the comments.
Yeah, and then go back and watch it. 'Cause
Yeah.
This is a great video. I'm having so much fun.
We're drinking. Number 5 is the Balvenie 12 Doublewood. So I pronounced this one wrong for years. I would always say Balvenie, but one of our astute viewers pointed out that was incorrect. So thank you.
I thought you were gonna call him something else. I'm glad you said astute.
As for the bottle itself, it's a must get in my opinion. It's got toffee notes, nutty notes, but this one is consistently good and always on my shelf. As such, I'm gonna give it a 92 I knocked it down slightly for the price tag, but still solidly A tier.
There was a period of time where there were two types of people, the Macallan or the Balvenie folks. And at times, I've been a Macallan guy. Other times, I've been a Balvenie man all the way through. Balvenie became my everyday sipper for some time, and for good reason. I think it's a great single malt scotch, well balanced, nuanced, and approachable. I am giving the Balvenie 12 Double Wood a 94. So with your 92 and my 94, the Balvenie 12 Double Wood averages out to a 93 A tier, where it belongs solidly high up there in the A. The number 4th best-selling whiskey in the United States, no. The number 4 best-selling scotch in, no. The number 4th best-selling single malt scotch in the United States is Glenmorangie 10-year. Another everyday sipper for me. Overall, I love most, if not all, of Glenmorangie's offerings. The 10-year is another one that I think punches way above its weight class, and it should be on any scotch lover's shelf. I find it a little less sophisticated than the Balvenie 12, so I'm gonna give this one a 92.
This one, along with the rest of the top 4, should have a place on your shelf. And for under $50, it's a no-brainer. While it's not the most complex single malt in the world, the fruitiness of it, think pineapples, peaches, citrus, combine that with the vanilla, and it makes it super drinkable and versatile. 94, high A tier. So between your 92, my 94, we got 93, A tier, Glenmorangie 10. In our top 3 now, we've got Glenfiddich 12-year. Not gonna lie, I actually enjoy the Glenmorangie 10 a little more than this bottle, but it's still a great bottle. Now, this one is also fruit forward, but more green apples and pears. That, coupled with its accessibility and price, puts it in the low A tier for me, 90. Now for a step up, try the Glenfiddich 12 in the Amontillado cask. Very nice.
I enjoy Glenmorangie 10 a lot more than this one. It's good, but when putting it side by side with some of these heavy hitters, I don't know if I'd give it anything over a B tier. For my taste, it's a little bland and light, so Glenfiddich 12 gets an 84 for me.
Okay.
So with your 90 and my 84, this one averages out to 87 B tier for Glenfiddich 12. The number 2 best-selling single malt scotch in the United States is the Macallan 12-year Sherry Oak. While Alberlauer 12 was my introduction to Scotch, the Macallan 12-year is what made me a fan. This one is the most approachable and well-balanced Scotch whiskeys out there. I love it, but not quite as much as the Oban 14, so this one gets a 95 for me.
The Macallan 12. This is where my whiskey journey began. So unless something drastic happens with the flavor profile here, this will always be in my S tier. Again, I took a couple points off for the price tag at $88, but it's still firmly rated for me at a 96 S tier. So my 96, your 95, still puts it in the S tier at 96 for the Macallan 12 Sherry Oak. We are at the number 1 selling single malt scotch in the entire US. It also has a "the" in front of it. It is the Glenlivet 12.
It's a little bit better than Crown Royal, I'd say.
Go. Yeah, a little bit.
So at least we're ending on a better note than we did with our previous video.
Yes, that is very true. This isn't the most groundbreaking whiskey by any means, but that combination of fruitiness and vanilla make it a perfect sippable whiskey, especially for beginners. If you're just starting to build your whiskey collection, this should be in it. Low A tier for me, 90.
Oh, we are ending this tier list with the dreaded NSYNC split.
Oh, we were doing so well.
We were doing so well until the very end.
Oh.
See, I am not the biggest fan of this bottle. It's a quintessential Scotch with quintessential Speyside flavors. It's not offensive by any means, but it's something that I would use if I wanted to mix my cocktail with a Scotch. I can sip it neat, but I don't find it that appealing to do it over and over again. So for me, I'm gonna give Glenlivet 12 an 81. It's not bad by any means. I think it belongs in the B tier, but I don't think it belongs any higher, to be honest.
Okay.
With your 90 and my 81, this one averages out to an 86 B tier for Glenlivet 12, the best-selling single malt Scotch in the United States.
We've officially ranked all 25 of the best-selling single malt scotches in the US. You know what was interesting? Not a single bottle on this list between the two of us got a D or an F.
That's true. It's very consistent. Scotch is very consistent.
And now we want to hear from you. Drop your top 5 or even bottom 5 into the comments and tell us which bottle we criminally underrated or overrated.
And if all of this felt overwhelming, don't worry. Our next video over here is all about the best scotches for beginners.
And if you enjoyed tier lists such as this one, check out our previous video right here, where we rank the top 25 selling whiskeys in the entire US.
If you like this video, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. Let them know that we are building a whiskey community where we could all talk about what we like and dislike about whiskey.
Until next time,
Cheers.
cheers.